Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News. I am your host, Kim, but most of you probably know me best as Bravo Breaking News on Instagram. And I am here today because Ariana is clapping back.
Why are you speaking for me? First of all, I don't know you.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, lady.
Yes, we are finally hearing from Ariana for the first time since Rachel sat down with Bethenny last week for the 3-part interview. Ariana was on Sheena's podcast, Shenanigans, this week, and she is mentioning it all. She is talking about what Rachel said that was true, what wasn't true, and they are debunking a lot of the statements that she made last week. So I am going to get into it all, but before I do, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any Bravo breaking news. So overall, obviously, I don't think Ariana was very happy with the interview. At the end of the day, it kind of ended up painting her in a bad light when she did nothing wrong. So she basically says that overall, Rachel is still choosing to believe a lot of the things that Tom said to her, which are not true. And that kind of goes to show that she's still being manipulated by the guy to this day. Ariana also says that basically she thought Bethenny knew better than to kind of paint her in this light and say some of the things that she said. Ariana was really hurt by a lot of the things that Bethenny mentioned in the interview. And her and Sheena basically go through one by one a lot of the statements that Rachel made on the podcast, and they discuss it. So let's break them down. First, let's talk about the reunion. So as we know, Bethenny sat Rachel down and basically repeated all of the things that Ariana said to her during the reunion. Then Bethenny goes on to say, oh, if this were my daughter, I would have to be in jail for murder because I would be livid. Well, guess who also has a mother? Ariana. And Ariana is basically saying that her mother was also not too happy about what went on behind her back for 7 months between her so-called best friend and boyfriend. She thinks her responses and names that she called Rachel were extremely warranted. And her and Sheena both remind us that this was just 3 weeks after the news came out. Things were still super fresh. Ariana says this was the only time that she was going to talk to Rachel. She was never going to talk to her again, still hasn't talked to her again. But if she did get the chance today, would she have said those same things? She admits no, probably not, because time has passed and, she's kind of come to terms with things and maybe would be able to approach it in a better way. But it was still so fresh. She was still so livid in that moment. So she reacted how anybody else would have reacted in that situation. Now, let's get to the part about Rachel saying that her and Ariana were not close friends and they never hung out outside of the show. So we already know that Lala and Stassi have debunked this, and Ariana herself is also saying that it is complete bullshit. They actually hung out right before the news came out, several days before. They were at an event together. There were no cameras in sight. Ariana says she invited her to her Coachella house. They spent holidays together like Thanksgiving. They even one year had matching Halloween costumes. Like, this isn't something that you do with an acquaintance or a coworker. This is something that you do with a very, very close friend. And the fact that Rachel is saying that she basically used Ariana to get closer to Tom actually very much hurts Ariana. She also mentioned this one thing that we all saw on Instagram. It was one of Rachel's last pageants, and guess who were the only people that showed up? Tom and Ariana. Not even her family showed up to support her during this. So the fact that Ariana did all of these things and has evidence, photos, videos of all of these things is just more proof that Rachel is lying. She thinks that Rachel is purposely trying to distance herself to make what she did less hurtful. And now that she's saying that, I definitely see where she's coming from. Bethenny also goes to say that Ariana has forgiven Tom by now since they've been seen filming together. And Ariana goes and nips that in the bud immediately. She has not forgiven Tom. Even though we've seen her in the same vicinity as Tom, she does not speak to him. She does not interact with him. He is in no way forgiven. And this is just another example of Bethenny not knowing what the hell she's talking about. She's just spewing lies based off of assumptions and based off observations that have no facts behind them. Another thing that Ariana was really, really hurt by from the interview was when Bethenny mentioned that, this isn't a big deal. It's not like they were married and didn't have any kids. This really hurts Ariana because as somebody who, was scared to get married and maybe didn't want kids, this is not a good thing to say about couples in that situation. There are a lot of people who don't have kids, maybe because they can't have kids. And for Bethenny to diminish a relationship just because they're not married and there are no kids in the picture is extremely hurtful to not only Ariana, but a lot of other women and people in this situation. So Bethenny, that's yet another strike. Now, let's talk about Tom and Ariana still living together, because this has gotten a lot of attention lately, and Ariana sets the record straight with Scheana. She's basically saying she is not going to let somebody else's bad decision ruin her life. She has bills to pay. She is by no means rich. Yes, she has had brand deal after brand deal, a lot of attention, a lot of paid promotions, and we are all so happy for her. But that does not mean that she is rolling in cash. She still has bills to pay. She still has a life to live. And she's following her financial advisor and lawyer's suggestions by making sure that she is in a good place before she leaves that house. She does not want to be in a position that she was before she came on the show. She wants to remain financially independent and make sure that her money goes to the right place. Now, whether that is a new house right now or not, I don't know, but obviously she's making the decision that the experts are telling her to do. And if that is to stay in the house and, be separated from Tom while she figures things out, I think that's fair. We all have to remember that Tom and Katie also continued living together through their divorce. While they were divorcing, Katie was dating other people. We saw it on the show. So the fact that Ariana is doing this really isn't that big of a deal, but people are making it out to be something so dramatic. She's also thinking about her pets. She has an old cat and doesn't really want to, traumatize her by moving her yet again. She wants to make sure that wherever she goes, it's going to be a stable environment, and I completely get it. Now, let's talk about the fact that Bethenny is basically, thinking that this is all a hoax, that maybe this was planned, that Ariana, somehow knew about it, and it was all just for show. Well, guess what? Ariana once again admits that she would never blow up her own life just for ratings of the show. Ariana has never been, the center of attention. She has never been one to really thirst for the spotlight or anything like that. So I don't think that she would ever, make something like this up or do something like this just for the show. They also talk about the pay. So there's been a lot of controversy about how much Rachel actually got paid on Vanderpump Rules. Lisa Vanderpump herself came out and said that she made $361,000 for last season of Vanderpump Rules. Bethenny is like, no, that's not true. That's not true. She makes less than my interns get paid. Well, guess what, Bethenny? You are being proven wrong once again. Scheana has come to the table with more evidence. She actually said that she had an attorney help Rachel with her contract last season, and they negotiated $19,000 for each of the 19 episodes. And guess what 19 by 19 is? $361,000 for the season. So, Bethenny, in this case, the math is mathing and you are wrong once again. They also point out that, Rachel is pulling this mental health card while we know she does have mental health issues. She is saying that, she would never return to reality TV. It wouldn't be good for her mental health. Meanwhile, this whole time, she was negotiating a higher salary to be paid as much as Tom and Ariana to return to the show. And the fact that they did not give her that pay raise that she wanted was the reason why. So now she's backtracking and using the mental health card as an excuse. And finally, Ariana talks about the FaceTime recording. So, like I said in a previous video, Rachel and Bethenny kind of were pinpointing this on Ariana, that she was maybe the one that was sharing this video around friends. Rachel saw people online, knew what was in it. So obviously somebody had shared it, and they were basically blaming Ariana. Well, Ariana is setting the record straight here once again, saying that she has never shown or shared the video with anybody, period, end of story. She doesn't even have a copy of the video. It was gone before she even called Rachel on the phone. She said she basically saw 5 seconds of it. She didn't sit there watching the whole thing. It wasn't something that she was enjoying watching. And the reason why people know or seem to know what went on in the video is that she says it's very straightforward what was happening in the video. We have all made assumptions about what was in the video, and that's what people online are doing too. And it is not because that Ariana in any way, shape, or form shared this video. She actually had a lawyer reply to Raquel's cease and desist saying so and proving that she had nothing to do with this. So why keep talking about it, Rachel? Why not just stop blaming Ariana for everything and make Tom accountable for something? At the end of the day, Rachel and Bethenny really shed a bad light on Ariana when she did nothing wrong. It's like Vicki Gunvalson. She's being nailed to the cross like Jesus was, and she did nothing wrong. Ariana did nothing wrong. She does not deserve the hate or the criticism that is coming from this interview. And Ariana actually ended her interview with Scheana on a light note. She says, she really hopes that Rachel gets the help she needs. She wishes the best for her in Arizona, and she really doesn't think that she should ever come back in an environment like this. So Rachel's saying she's never returning. Ariana, I'm sure, is happy with that. So I think it's finally time that maybe we should all just move on. But that's probably not going to happen. So I will be here to mention it all about Scandival, about any Vanderpump Rules updates, and more Bravo breaking news. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything.